Hey everyone. I hope you guys are having a great night. I have a dog outside right now because, of course, they want to go out right before I go live. So I'm kind of keeping an eye out there. And as soon as he's ready to come back in, because he wouldn't come in when I called him, I have to jump up and let him in because Jeff is not home. All right. So always something, right? Always something. All right. First of all, let's just do a little audio check and make sure everybody can hear me and see me and the technology is working correctly today. We hope so. Meanwhile, I will say hi to people. Hi, Juliet. How are you? Thank you for 301,000 subscribers. Yes, it just kind of happened. Like we missed the 300,000 mark and then it just jumped up to 301,000. So I guess that's good, right? Hi, Wendy. How are you? I'm so glad you enjoyed the stuffed peppers. And I saw that you made them in the oven. So that's awesome. I always like when people take my recipes, even though they're done in one appliance, and they convert it to what they're used to cooking in or what they cook in, because that's awesome for me as a recipe creator that it works different ways. All right. Hi, Tikio. How are you? Hi, Craig. How are you? Good morning, John. Hi, Dawn. Hi, Craig. Did I say that already? I might have. And Juliet, I said hi to you. All right, great. Anybody on Facebook? If you're watching from Facebook, can you give me a little, just make a comment so that I know it's streaming over there as well? Because what happens is I'm streaming two different places, but they all converge into this one program that I have. So I like to make sure that I'm streaming over there. Okay, I'm just going through. Hi, Jane. Hi, Annie. Hi, Leanne. It's good to see everybody. Hi, Dee. Hi, Jessica. Hi, Faye. Hi, Danny. It's Danny's third time. Welcome. Hi, Trisha. Hi, Linda. Hi, Janice. Hey, Debbie. Hi, Betty from Facebook. Yes, and Janice is from Facebook. I can see that. And Linda's from Facebook. I can see that. Hi, Jen. How are you? Hi, Gwen. Hi, Dustin. Hi, Eileen. Oh my goodness, so many people. Hi, Crystal. I'm so sorry you're not feeling well. That's okay. You don't have to stay. I understand. Hi, Claudia. Hi, Julia. Hi, Jeffrey. Wow, a lot of new names. Hi, David. How are you? Good to see everybody. Let me go check on this dog. I'll be right back. Come on, guys. Good boy. Good boy. You're a good boy. Thank you for coming in. Okay. All right. So let's get to it. Hey, Robin. Annie, I don't remember if I said hi to you. So hi, Annie. Okay. Let's take a deep breath. So while you guys are thinking of your questions, because I want you to bombard me with your cooking questions or whatever other questions you have. But I wanted to tell you kind of, I think, I don't know, it gives you a little insight into who I am and how I come up with recipes and things like that. Well, I live very remotely. And since I moved our studio kitchen over to another state, actually, because we border Mississippi. So my studio is in Mississippi and my house is in Tennessee. So I do my lives from home. Just because I just take Tuesdays and kind of stay home and it's nice. And now that I have decent enough internet to do this, it's nice to do that. So I do Tasty Tuesdays in Mississippi and I do my lives here in Tennessee. Well, when I moved studio kitchen where I do all my testing and baking and cooking and all that stuff, I moved a lot of my staple ingredients and I don't have a whole lot here at our house. I bring food from their home, so we don't keep it stocked like I do over there. But today, and I have a sweet tooth, okay, so dessert is one of those things that I very rarely skip. I know you can tell, right? But hey, you know what? It's all right. So I always like to have a little bit of dessert at night. Now I try not to go overboard, but I like to have a little bit. I didn't have anything tonight. Usually it's a little ice cream, but I didn't have anything. So I got to thinking, well, what recipe can I test that I have the ingredients for that I think people would like? And I'm like,
what about peanut butter brownies, which is not really brownies because they're not brown. So what about peanut butter blondies? And I'm like, okay, I've never made those. I don't really know what they are. So I just sort of come into the kitchen and I think, okay, so how do I make brownies and how do I substitute this and blah, 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 blah. So I pull up my brownie recipe and I kind of make some substitutions and I throw things into the KitchenAid mixer and I'm mixing it up and I'm thinking, man, this is kind of looking like cake. Maybe I'm going to make peanut butter cake instead of brownies. But I had, my pan that I used for brownies here, and I put it in there and everything, baked it up. I don't know, honestly, if it's brownies or cake. I have not decided, but it's delicious. I am like so stoked about this recipe. It is amazing. It's got that crispy brownie top. It's not real cakey, but it's not real fudgy like a real dense brownie. It's so amazingly delicious. I am just so excited. So that's kind of how I just decide I want this. I have this in my kitchen. I'm going to go try it out, right? That's how most of my recipes come to be, through what I have on hand. So anyway, I just thought that was kind of funny, especially when it works out. They don't always work out. So, let me also say that to anybody who does that, go for it. And make sure your expectations are a little bit lower because sometimes it doesn't work out, right? Usually I can fix things, but like with baked goods, like if this tasted too floury or didn't have enough peanut butter or something like that, basically the whole thing's just not going to be good. You can't really fix the baked good after the fact. But anyway, I just thought that was fun. Okay. And it's delicious. I'm so excited. Oh my gosh. Okay. So let's see. What kind of questions? Okay, Gwen says we have a good connection. That's great. Let's see, going through, I kind of backed up a little bit too far, so let me scroll down. Hey, Sylvia. Debbie, probably that was George. Gus is out. Gus was the one that was outside. George wanted to go outside about 5 minutes or maybe even 10 minutes before I went live, but he came back in because he doesn't like the cold. So he came back in. Gus, he's my little wild child. So he was running around for a little bit, but he came in. Hi, Sherry. How are you? All right, let's see. Hey, George. Good evening. Hi, Melba. Good evening or good day. Yeah, it is good evening, right? It's evening to me. It's evening here. It's dark out. I have like something itching my eye. All right, keep going here. Okay, so Juliet has a question. Any idea how I can do a sweet and smoky salmon on the wood fire grill? I'm trying not to buy it already made. It's really expensive pre-made. Yes. Okay. So first of all, I would need to know if you're in the US or if you have one of the European models, because there is a difference in one of the functions. It's not really a function. It's just a setting. And the US versions have something called cold smoke. So with salmon, because it cooks so fast, if you want to try to get smoke flavored into your salmon, it's not going to work because you're not going to get enough in that 10 minutes, right, of cook time, because it really cooks pretty quickly. So and because you want it that sweet, smoky, I'm assuming that you want a nice smoked salmon with a sweet kind of glaze or something on top. So we want to go on a high heat to achieve that, but we want to go on a very low or no heat to get the smoke onto the salmon. So what I would recommend is starting out with a cold smoke if you're in the US. If you're not, it's going to be a little trickier, but I would go to the lowest smoke setting, which I think is probably 200 Fahrenheit, which would be around 100 Celsius or so. But whatever the lowest smoker setting is, set it there. Cold smoke, even better. And then you're going to smoke that for as long as you possibly can. So within safety guidelines, okay? So safety, you have to take that into consideration even when you're cold smoking. So let's say you're cold smoking it. You're going to cold smoke it. Probably I would do 35 to 40 minutes maybe. And then I would bump up that heat, put your glaze on, bump up the heat, and really switch functions even. Go to grill, go to grill or broil or whatever. If you're going to be hot smoking, but on a low temperature, you're probably only going to be able to smoke about 15, maybe 20 minutes. And then you're going to have to bump up your heat to set that glaze. That's how I would approach it anyway. Okay. So hopefully that helps. And it I don't know, what kind of sweet glaze you're looking for. Like if you're looking for an Asian kind of inspired sweet glaze or a sweet barbecue glaze, but this would work with basically anything. And I think it'd be delicious. And I think I need to do a recipe on that. What do you think? Because that sounds good. I don't even like salmon, but I'm trying to do some more fish recipes, and salmon everybody seems to love except for me. So I really want to do some, and that sounds pretty good. So yeah. And you definitely don't want to cook it fully under smoke. You do want to leave some room to be able to do that hot heat. And that's one of the beauties about the wood fire is you can change functions. You could pull it off. Like if you, this wouldn't work for the salmon, but like let's say you wanted to do something at a hot temperature and then go lower, you could pull it off, switch functions, go lower temperature, let it cool down a little bit, throw it back in. I don't find that you would probably do that too often, though. You probably do the opposite, low temperature and then go up to a high temperature. Good evening, Barbara. How are you? Hey, Larry. Hi, Sally. How are you? Jeff is working and he just texted me because he's a pilot. For those of you that don't know, he's a helicopter pilot for an air evac company. So he works shift work. It's kind of nice because it's really not kind of nice, honestly. I wish he didn't work at all, but he loves it so much. But he works 7 days on for 12 hours. So he does come home every day and then 7 days off. So we do have, 2 weeks a month off. We're not off. I put his butt right to work doing stuff for the salt and pepper. But anyway, he's at work and he just texted me. He's like, man, it got cold out here because we've been having some warm temperatures and it got really cold. He said, I had to put my long johns on. It's so cold because it's cold in the helicopter, even though they do have heat, but it's still cold. All right, let's see. Any more questions? Let's really get these questions going. All right, D. Okay. Question. What pressure cook time would you recommend for mixed leafy green vegetables? Cabbage, sprouts, which I'm assuming are Brussels sprouts, and broccoli. Boy, that is such a good question. And they're going to be hard. The cabbage and the sprouts are fine, okay? They're going to cook at about the same time. Now, the pressure cook time depends on how they are prepared. Are they full? I mean, obviously, if you're going to cook a full head of cabbage, you're not going to be able to pressure cook much else. I don't think you're going to cook, a whole intact head of cabbage. So how are you cutting it? Because if you're cutting it into, let's say, quarters, probably about 15 minutes, if that, maybe even 10, for a quartered head of cabbage. Okay. Brussels sprouts, depends if they're whole, they would probably be, I don't know, maybe 5 minutes. I crisp mine up at the end. Let me see. Because they might even overcook. So that's the problem when we start to pressure cook a whole bunch of different vegetables. If the vegetables cook at different times, normally, like on the stove, some are going to be underdone, some are going to be overdone, unless you can modify the ingredients so that they all cook at the same time. And what I mean by that is sometimes we can cut longer cooking vegetables smaller. So like you could cut your cabbage into smaller pieces so that it cooks at the same time as the Brussels sprouts. And you could keep your broccoli whole in the whole head so it cooks at the same time as the Brussels sprouts and the cabbage. So those are the workarounds when you're dealing with vegetables that cook at different times. So let me just see here, because I know that I pressure cook these Brussels sprouts. Maybe I don't I? I thought Oh yeah, I do. 1 cup of water, Brussels sprouts into the air fry basket. Oh, I only do the Brussels sprouts for 0 minutes, but I do a lot of dry heat cooking because they're glazed. So if you're just like doing them in the pressure cooker, probably 2 minutes for the Brussels sprouts for a firm Brussels sprout. So then that takes me to the other question: how do you like them cooked? Right? Do you want super cooked cabbage and super soft Brussels sprouts? Well, if so, then I would probably cut your cabbage into smaller pieces, keep your Brussels sprouts whole, keep your broccoli even wholer, right? And do probably a 4-minute pressure cook for that. So there's so many variables, but hopefully that gives you some ideas on how to do that if you want to mix them all together at one time and cook them all at once. All right, let's see. Okay, hi Danny. Do I have a base nacho cheese sauce for use in all Mexican recipes? I have a cheese sauce that is like liquid cheese. I call it magic cheese because it really is magic. And in that post, and it's under, this is kind of, I'll tell you this, I'll tell you the story too, because this might, you might think it's so weird that I called it pretzel cheese dip. So that's how it is. So if you go to my website, just type in cheese dip and you'll find it. So it's liquid cheese and it uses sodium citrate. Debbie, if you're in the audience, citrate or citrate? Why am I having a block? Anyway, of course, how are you going to let me know? They're spelled, I mean, I'm not going to know because I know how to spell it. Anyway, okay. So there's an ingredient that you add to any shredded cheese you want that makes it liquid. So if that's what you're talking about, like a nacho cheese sauce, because that's what I think of, then that's an easy way to do it. You can also do it with a roux, which would be butter, flour, cook it off for a little bit, add some milk or even cream, and then add in your cheese. Now, if you're talking about the queso dip that you get at a Mexican restaurant, that is usually made with American cheese. So, and that is already pasteurized and already will melt with very little difficulty. So you don't really need to add anything to it except for whatever spices you want to use. So I've done it before and it's delicious. I go to the deli and I ask for quarter pound, however much you want to make, of white American cheese unsliced. Okay. And then I just melt it with a little bit of milk and I use that and I can put any seasonings in. I do have a nacho cheese, like seasonings in that post for my magic cheese, which is pretzel dipping cheese. So I don't usually use a cheese sauce though in Mexican recipes. So that's, I mean, I don't know exactly where you want to put this. You know, is it a dip for tortilla chips? Is it something you want to, throw over top? You want to put inside your tacos? Like in tacos and stuff, I usually use a crumbly type of cheese, cojita, I think, or something like that. Anyway, that's what I usually use. So I don't have a go-to, no, but I do have a nacho cheese sauce and magic cheese and all those other kind of things on my website. Okay. Hey, Sharon, how are you? Hey, Kat, how are you? Yeah, YouTube, you can't rely on YouTube for notifications. Just know that barring any, some kind of thing that comes up, I will always be live at 7 o'clock on Tuesdays, whether I'm doing Tasty Tuesday or here, unless I'm traveling or something. Okay. All right, Sylvia, loved your pretzel buns the other day. What is an ideal sandwich for those buns besides dipping in the pickle soup? Well, burgers, number one, are great on pretzel rolls, but also like a roast beef. So a thinly sliced, medium rare roast beef would be so good on the pretzel rolls. Hot ham and cheese would be really good on a pretzel roll. An egg sandwich would be good on a pretzel roll. Everything's good on a pretzel roll. Honestly, they are so good. So think of anything that a chicken sandwich would be good on a pretzel roll. Anything. But think about things that you like with pretzels, and then I don't know if you would eat chicken with pretzels, but trust me, it's good on a pretzel roll. Anything, honestly. But I kind of lend myself to like corned beef, pastrami, ham and cheese. Like, I don't think I would do a turkey sandwich with lunch meat. And I don't even think I would do a chicken sandwich with lunch meat, but I would do a fried chicken sandwich, right? Or a chicken breast sandwich. I would do that. That would be good. So yeah, anything though, really. I mean, my goodness, they're so delicious. All right. Kat wants me to guess what I have in the Ninja Foodie right now. That's going to be hard. I don't know. You'll have to tell me. Food. There you go, right? Food. I won. Oh, John, it's early for this one, isn't it? Let's see, what time is it? 7:21. All right. John and his little curveballs. This is a hard one for me to answer because I've never lived at altitude. So I don't have any practical experience in this. But altitude apparently does affect pressure cooking. And there is a formula for every 1,000 of feet above 5,000. So if you're sea level to 5,000 feet above sea level, you don't have to worry about it. It's not going to make any difference. But when you get up into above 5,000, and I'm looking here because I've got the formula in my post and I don't remember it off the top of my head. Let's see. Pressure Cooking 101. That is a good one to read if you are new to pressure cooking. It's How to Use the Ninja Foodie, and then it's volume 2, Pressure Cooking 101. All right, so let me look at the table of contents here, and I will, if there is one, there is. How altitude and PSI. Okay. So I believe it's 5,000. Let me make sure about that. Okay, no, it's 2,000. Okay, so let me back up. From 0 feet sea level to 2,000 feet sea level, you don't have to worry about it. At 2,001 feet above sea level, the atmospheric pressure is less, okay? And that means that you have to, I don't remember this anymore. Let me see. I got a chart on it. John, you threw me, really. Okay, let's see. There is a thing, and I wrote it down, and I can't remember it, and I can't find it in my post. There's a formula. Why am I not finding it? I'm not finding it. This stinks. Anyway, you have to increase your time a little bit because the boiling point of water is reduced. Now, some people say they don't notice any changes in their pressure cooker, but this is what I found from research. I have a table in here, but I can't find it, guys. So I don't know exactly what the thing is. That doesn't make any sense. Why don't I have this? Sorry, I just can't find it. But there is a formula and I just can't find it. So I'm sorry about that. You can go on that. It is there. It is there. I just can't find it. And I don't want to take up too much time, but it is there. It's on my website. You can do Pressure Cooking 101. So if you live above 2,000 feet, you will need to make some adjustments and you increase your pressure cook time, but it's just a little bit, right? All right, John, thanks for that. All right. Okay. So D, let's just back to the mixed vegetables. But you don't want to cut them equal sizes if they cook different times. Okay. So I know you probably wrote that while I was talking. So yeah, you don't want to cut them equal sizes if they cook at different times. So the Brussels sprouts and the cabbage are going to be sort of close. So you could cut those like about the same size. but the broccoli's a little bit quicker. Okay. So make those bigger. All right. Let's see. Okay. Missy wants to know can you make spaghetti in the microwave? Technically, yes, you can boil noodles in the microwave and then you could add your spaghetti sauce. I have never done it. I do not know how to do it. Um, but technically, yes, you can absolutely make spaghetti in the microwave. Now, you can definitely warm it up too, but yes, you can make it in there. But you have to get you have to boil the noodles first. I would not ever in the microwave try to put the sauce with the noodles, even if you put liquid into the microwave, because even if it's like a little bit covered, I think it's just going to pop everywhere. So I would do the water and the noodles first, microwave them until they're done to your liking, drain them, add sauce in. You could throw it back in the microwave if you want, or just warm your sauce up in the microwave. But I've never done it, so I don't have any times. Sorry about that. Okay, Crystal, I don't think that's a silly question at all. So Crystal's asking if I can explain how important it is to keep the condensation collector cleaned out. Oh my gosh, let me just tell you, important. Important. Well, first of all, if you don't, especially on the one lid models, the two lid models do not fill up as much. The one lid models, because of the way it's designed, the steam and everything runs right around the lid, goes to the lip of the foodie, and goes right into that condensation cup. So it can be half full with one cooking time. You don't want to ever leave water stagnant anywhere. Okay. It will get so funky. It will get so funky. And it will dry up in there because it will, water will evaporate, but the funk stays there, right? And while there's still a little bit of moisture, you can get mold in there. So you definitely want to clean it out every single time, because I've forgotten, and you just don't want to do it. Just every single time you steam, pressure cook, use any of the wet cooking functions, especially on the one lid, just get in the habit of pulling that condensation collector off. And then what I recommend doing is dumping the water and then putting a little bit of dish soap, just a tiny drop, and then going along the bottom with whatever you use to clean, your stuff with. I use a brush usually, and then go along the bottom and then give it a good rinse. You can put it in the dishwasher too. I usually don't. I just let it dry a little bit and throw it back on. But yeah, it's easy to forget about. Yeah, Jen says, great question. I always forget about it. I do too. And especially since I grew up on the two lid model, that wasn't as big of a deal because it hardly ever filled up, right? But the one lid models fill up all the time. So definitely do that. Good evening, Brian. Okay. Let's see. Hi, Lolo D. How are you? Oh, Kat. Oh, you're gonna make split pea soup. That's awesome. Oh, I hope you like it. That white wine, it will be fun. Nice and aged, right? Hopefully it's a little dry and not too sweet. All right, D. Yeah, I think probably I probably have talked you down now a little bit from 3 minutes of those mixed vegetables. I would probably even back that down depending on the size. So if you're going to keep them, in little chunks, if you're going to don't go any further than having the Brussels sprouts though, D, okay? Because they're going to overcook. I'm sure of it if they're quartered. So go just half them at most. Or keep them whole, and then you could cut them after the fact. So probably I would start with 2 minutes. I might even start with one because I'm funny about vegetables. I would rather them be crisp than soggy, or overcooked. So, but that's just me. Leanne, I'm so glad you like the cheese sauce. Citrate. It's sodium citrate instead of citrate. Sodium citrate. I got a little flack on Facebook on YouTube because I said it wrong, but I don't know why I said it wrong. I do usually know. I'm a nurse, right? Usually I know, but anyway. Okay, Crystal. I don't know if it's like this on the Ninja Foodie, but the little crevice where your pressure lid sits on the Instant Pot, how in the world do you clean that and keep it from getting yucky? Okay, this is a great question. And I clean mine every single day, okay, that I use it, right? I have a brush, but you don't need a brush, okay? You can take a butter knife and put a paper towel, wrap it around the top, get it slightly damp. You can put a little soap on it. Sometimes I do. If I need to, I put a little soap on it. And then you just run that knife all around that edge and pick up all that stuff that's left there. Then switch it out if you put soap on it, which I usually do. And then switch it out for another paper towel that's just damp. Go back around with your knife, clean that all out. And then I do one last time. I just dry it. You can let it air dry though. That's fine. But that is exactly how I clean it. I do have, and I use the condensation cup in the back as a collector. So if for some reason I was cooking something that I'm trying to remember what it was, but there was something I was making and I got like actual food particles in that when I opened up the lid, like food particles were in there. So I kind of used my knife with my thing and with the paper towel and I pushed them all into the condensation cup so that was like my little, my little trash can, and then went and finished cleaning. Super important to do because it gets kind of funky in there too, So definitely. And then as far as cleaning the lid, everybody, always asks, what do you do to clean the lid? I don't clean the lid. I do notice on the one lid models, you don't even, from what I've been cooking, I don't even ever have to clean it. Now the 2 lid model, after a while, it did get a little bit funky, but as Debbie knows, I tried every thing under the sun, including Effordent, which bless her heart, she tried it out for me and she got it clean, but she said it was way too much work. But I figured, well, Effordent, if it soaks dentures, then it's safe, right? We're going to use it on the foodie. I thought I had something magic. It worked so good on one of my foodies, but then the next one, it didn't work at all. So Debbie tested it out. She's like, yeah, it worked, but it was really hard. A lot of elbow grease. So you could do that with a little brush and stuff and go up there and get it all off. But I don't worry about it because what I do is when I'm done air frying, if I did something that splattered something up there or whatever, I wait till it's just warm. Okay. So the coil is not hot. It's just warm. And I take a damp rag and I wipe that off. If something is really stuck and burned on there, I just run the broil function for 10 minutes and burn it off. And then what I can reach, I will take again. I have a brush that goes up there. Sometimes I'll wrap it with a paper towel and I'll just go around and sort of clean it out. But anything that is up behind the fan, I just don't even worry about because I don't find it to get that dirty. So I don't know if just keeping up with it and doing this routine every time I'm cooking something has helped, but I just haven't had any issues. Now I do have discoloration and somebody that was looking at it would say, oh my gosh, that's dirty, but it's not. There's no debris up there. There's nothing that's going to make me sick. That's the important part, right? And nothing that's going to fall into my food because that would be gross too. So it looks discolored, but there's nothing there. It's creosote, I guess. I don't know technically if that's what it is, but kind of grease and it's dried up and it's not going to catch fire or anything like that. The foodie temperatures do not get hot enough for all that. So we're not going to have spontaneous combustion or anything. So yeah, that's how I do it. Okay, George, Louise, on my 2 lid OP 500 UK slow cooking, I couldn't adjust the time below 4 hours even after the process had started. Is that only possible on the 1 lid version? Ended up using a kitchen timer. Well, I don't have the OP 500 UK, obviously, because I don't live in the UK and I can't get them here. And even if I could, I couldn't plug them in because we use different electricity. But I thought my 2 lid did that too. Hold on. I'm going to check I've got my 6.5 quart here. I would think if my 6.5 quart does it, I don't know. Your 500 would be a 6 because you go by liters. So it's totally different. Your 500 would be equivalent to my 6.5. So it should be very, very close. I'll be right back and I'll tell you. All right, I'm going to walk you through. Hopefully you can hear me. I'm turning on the foodie. Oh, I do have a pot in it. Oh, wait a minute. I got the lid down. Put the lid up or I won't have. I'm like, why is the cooking not turning on? Okay, slow cook. And it won't matter if it's high or low. Okay, 4 hours. I can adjust it with the time. I can adjust it all the way down 15 minutes, George. So it works on mine. So I hit slow cook, I hit start, and then I hit the time down, and it worked. So I don't know why it wouldn't work on yours. That doesn't seem to make any sense, does it? Okay. Let's see. Okay, Sharon wants to know if I can do something keto. I've got tons of keto stuff on my website. I mean, when I say tons, not in relation to how many recipes I have, but I mean, I have probably 20, 30 recipes keto on my website. I do them and they don't get any traction. They never go anywhere. Nobody ever finds them. And so I don't do them very often, even though Jeff eats low carb all the time, right? I mean, and I don't label things keto. I will label them low carb. I'm not going to label them keto. Personally, I am all for the low carb diet. I'm all for whatever works for the individual person. But personally, I do not agree with the keto diet because of the high fat content. I agree with I agree with the protein and all that stuff, but I don't agree with the high fat. And I think some people run into problems with it, but I know it's successful. I'm not knocking it or anything like that. Jeff always says I'm doing keto. I'm like, no, you're not. You're doing low carb because you're not going to eat the fat part of it. So that's the difference. To be truly keto, you have to have extremely, and I say extremely high fat. There's a ratio to truly be a keto meal. There is a ratio of protein and fat that has to be followed. And then the carbs have to be super, super low. So I probably don't have any keto recipes, but I do have low carb recipes that you could always throw extra fat into, to make them get up to your macros that you need. So I would just go on my website, Sharon, thesaltedpepper.com, and search low carb. Most always I'll put, if it's a low carb recipe. Now keep in mind too, like I have pulled pork. So I don't put low carb pulled pork because pulled pork is naturally low carb. You just wouldn't use the rub I use, okay? Because it's got sugar in it. So you would use a different rub, but the cooking time and all that stuff is the same. You wouldn't use the barbecue sauce that I use because it has sugar in it, but you could use your own, that kind of thing. So a lot of recipes that are, just a few ingredients. What is Gus doing back there? Gus, what are you doing? Can be modified very easily. But as far as doing more low carb recipes, they just don't work for me. Like nobody pays attention to them. I just did. I mean, I have breadsticks. I've got some good stuff. I've got keto pancakes not keto. Sorry, low carb pancakes that tastes like you're eating pancakes, because I'm real funny about especially bread stuff, because there's some nasty stuff out there that's low carb. And Jeff and I have tried everything because he eats low carb. I used to be thinner too. But now that I'm doing this for a living and testing recipes, it's pretty much impossible. So I just try to really do portion control more than anything. But yes, they're on my website. And I do them periodically as I come up with something great. I'm not going to reinvent the wheel because I'm not a keto blogger. So it's not like my main focus. But if I make something for Jeff that is absolutely, I think, like fantastic, like the breadsticks, things that people want to eat but can't usually when they're eating low carb, I will put those on my website for absolutely. For those pretzel buns, a Monte Cristo with a raspberry puree. Oh my gosh, that sounds good. I made a Monte Cristo in the foodie once, and it was good. I mean, I air fried it, but it's battered, so it's something. That's like once every 5 years you would eat one of those, right? It is decadent. Oh my gosh. Dainty says, watching you as I work out on the elliptical. Good for you. Good for you. That's what I need. I need to work out. I have a treadmill. I just don't get on it. I have a whole workout room. I turned it into the cat room. Anyway, Annie's asking if Jeff is bringing me Chinese. My stomach is actually about to growl too, so you might hear that. No, he's working night shift. So I have leftover coconut chicken soup, which is my recipe that's coming out, I think, on Sunday. I got behind. I meant to do some Valentine's Day recipes with our snowstorm threw us off so bad that I have not recovered yet as far as videos and recipes go. So, yeah, I'm putting out a chicken coconut soup, or coconut chicken soup, I think I called it. It's Tom Kha Gai is what it is. Okay. With some extras. And it's amazing. And I have some for dinner tonight. I absolutely love it. I love Thai food. Oh my gosh. Love them. Love them. Okay. Yeah. So Reuben on a pretzel roll, Debbie, would be amazing. Okay. Anne asks, do you cook with the Ninja Woodfire oven much? No, I don't. But not because I don't want to. It's because I need to be able to spend time with it, right? I need to learn it. And it's been cold. It's winter now. And it's easier for me to use the wood fire grill for what the recipes that I've been doing, because I know how, first of all, I already know how to work the wood fire grill. Like keep in mind, when I get an appliance and I want to do recipes in it, I had the wood fire grill for a full year before I ever put out a recipe for it, because I can't put out a good recipe if I don't know the ins and outs of it. Now with the foodie, I started a little bit quicker, but not as quick as maybe some people think. I mean, I still had to learn the appliance. And some of my earlier recipes, I have gone back and revamped now because I know new things. I know better ways to do it and with a better outcome. Okay. Because we all learn and evolve and get better. But with the oven, I really want to play with those high temperatures. Like there are so many great things that I think you could do with the wood fire oven, but I just haven't had time. So it's on my ever never ending to-do list. Oh, Sylvia, corned beef and cabbage and mustard on a pretzel bun. That sounds amazing. Oh my gosh. Oh, George is saying, George. John and his twisted evil questions when he throws these questions out at me. Thank you, John. So John's got the answer to the pressure cook question. 5% in time for every 1,000 feet above 2,000 feet. I knew it was something like that. I don't know why I couldn't find it. I just could not find it. All right, Danny, considering every function of the Ninja Foodie, what dessert do you think is the most delicious from the functions the foodie can provide? Wow, that is a good question. If you have sous vide creme brulee is top notch. It's delicious. It's so easy. So I love the creme brulee using sous vide. If you want to pressure cook and you want another simple dessert, my chocolate pot de creme is amazing. It's like chocolate pudding meets creme brulee. Oh, it's so good. If you've never had pot de creme, it's good. Okay. If you want to pressure cook, but you want something like a cake, apple cake. Cakes that do well in under pressure are going to be usually, because I do have a cake that's a drier, cakey cake, but it took me forever to perfect those ingredients to get it to work under pressure. So when you're making a cake under pressure, you want something that is going to lend itself to being kind of denser and moister. So like an apple cake turns out amazing. As far as the other functions at bake, roast, slow cooker brownies are really good. So slow cooker brownies, if you're not in a hurry to make brownies, they are really good and they are very easy in the Ninja Foodie. But as far as other baked goods go, it is, in my opinion, more of a hassle to make normal cakes, cookies, unless you really just want to make a few. And even then, I think it's more of a hassle to make them in the Ninja Foodie than other appliances. I know there's people that disagree with me and they make cookies in there all the time. That is great. I just don't. I don't think it's the right appliance for that, because you have, you're in a circular thing. Even if, let's say, you're going to make 3 small cookies or even 2 small cookies, you need to put parchment paper down on the basket liner or the crisping tray, right? Whichever one you have. You have to put parchment down, but then you have to make sure that the parchment isn't too far away from the cookies, because like there's not too much excess, because the fan is going to blow the parchment over the cookies and change the shape of the cookies and impede the browning process, impede the spreading of the cookies. I'll give you an example. I've wanted to do a big cookie. Now, I do think you could do a big cookie in the Ninja Foodie, but I've had this recipe. It is, as far as taste goes and everything like that, it is absolutely perfect. It is one recipe that you turn from an oatmeal, like a cinnamon oatmeal type of cookie. Like, I think it's a raisin oatmeal cookie with some cinnamon in it. And you make up one batter, you add a few ingredients to each, you split it, you add a few ingredients, and you have a chocolate chip big cookie and an oatmeal raisin big cookie, right? And then to bake them in the Ninja Foodie. Well, I don't have that recipe out, and I've been working on it for 3 years, because I always run into little snafus with the way the parchment, the way it's baking, the way this, the way that. And to me, that just tells me that the Foodie is not the right appliance. Now, maybe one day I'll get the exact right temperature, time, function, level, because that matters where the cookie is. And I'll be able to put it out. I did make it successfully, but you had to have a different, like a grill grate. And I'm not going to put recipes out. That grill grate, the grill grate, I love it and I use it all the time, but it has gotten so darn expensive that there's no way I'm going to ask somebody to buy a $50 thing just to make a darn cookie. I mean, that's ridiculous, right? So yeah. So that's my take on desserts. If you want to make desserts that are drier, you want to use dry cooking functions, cakes, brownies, whatever, go to my website and type in baking tips, and it will explain like the differences and things like that. I've had some very successful things come out of the Ninja Foodie. Like, I really like using, like, if you're going to use a bundt pan, if you want to make a bundt cake, you can do that in the Ninja Foodie very easily. But you need to drop your temperature 50 degrees at least from what you would do in the oven. Sometimes 75, just depending on the ingredients, and depending on the type of pan you have. So another like quick example why I don't do those types of desserts that much in the Ninja Foodie anymore, because the pan that was my go-to, it was a little flour pan, and it was perfect for so many different desserts. It cooked everything beautifully. They don't make it anymore. It's really a bummer. I'm going to try to find something else that's similar, and then maybe I'll do more of those kind of recipes. But that's my take on desserts in the Foodie. I just don't think all things are easier in the Foodie. And if it takes longer and it's harder, then I'm going to use something else, because that's not what the Foodie's there for. Foodie's there to make life easier, not harder. And give you better results, not worse. Like nothing that I put out on my website is going to have a worse outcome than what you could do traditional cooking methods, stove and oven. So anyway, that's just my thought process. Hi, Pale Horse. How are you? All right. All right. Well, John, it looks like your question was a good one, because Sierra didn't have any idea. So yeah, so good. Awesome. Wonderful. Let's see. Debbie, you are so funny. John, you should save these questions for when she has a cocktail. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Or four, like, what are those? Chocolate martinis? I hardly drink anymore, because I'm so busy, and I find the older I get, even a couple glasses, loopy, and then I don't feel good the next day, and I'm like, I just don't have any time. I just don't have any time for that. No time for that. All right. Okay, Sylvia. So this is a good question. I have the Ninja Combi. Can I make bagels in there since the bottom is for liquids? Okay. Yes. Technically, you could boil because water isn't, the bottom is for liquid. So you could use sear saute and put water with baking soda in and boil your bagels. It is going to be way more cumbersome for you to do that than it is just to put a pot on the stove and boil some water with baking soda and do your bagels like that. Okay, because you need to put them into, you need to boil them first. That's how bagels are made, and then you could bake them in the combi, and they'd be beautiful because the combi does beautiful with all kinds of breads. That's how I made the pretzel rolls, and I just absolutely loved the outcome. So, the answer is yes, but you're not going to want to. Okay. I know there's people that are sauteing in the combi and they're using a long spoon. But when you're going to boil something like that and you need to flip them and it's like a 30 seconds on each side, it is not going to be worth it. It's not going to be worth it. Just either use the foodie if you have one or grab a big pot and boil them. Okay. Hi, Jolene. How are you? Oh, Whitney, that's awesome. So Whitney just got her Ninja Foodie hot and cold blender. So where do you live? Because I've been looking in the US and they don't sell them anymore. I'm about to take all my recipes, not off my website, but rework them so they work a different way because they're such good recipes that I don't want people not to be able to make them just because they don't have the hot and cold blender. I will still leave the hot and cold blender instructions there, but I'm going to rework everything because I want people to be able to make those, and you just cannot buy that blender anywhere around here that I found. Hi, Tammy. How are you? Thank you so much. Okay, so yeah, we're getting the pressure cooking. So I'm way behind, aren't I? Greasy water barf, yeah. Let's see. Okay, Sherry says, does your online course teach the one lid pot? Yes, in every section there are how to use the two lids and then the one lid. So yes, I've gone back through and added in all of those videos. I still have a few extras that I want to do at the very end, which is cooking with the one lid, but there are some there already. Okay. There's just a few functions that I haven't done in the one lid, but I've done them in the two lid and, they're basically the same. But there's a few I want to do steam crisp, right? Sous vide is going to be basically the same, but I even talk about that. There are little differences between the two lid and the one lid. And yes, I go over that. So yes, that online course is so comprehensive. It's crazy. But I still want more. I still want to do more in there. We started a community for it. And I was thinking today how much I've not done in there that I was supposed to do. And that was supposed to happen right after the first of the year. And I'm like, okay, let me get this ready and let me get this ready and let me get this ready. And then I just felt like I felt so far behind. And now I'm not doing what I should be doing in there. So I need 5 of me. That's what I need. And then I'd be very happy. Okay. So Gwen is saying, I live in northern Colorado, so at altitude. If a recipe calls for a range of time, high for 5 to 8 minutes, I pressure cook for 7 to 8 minutes and things turn out fine. It's good. I don't know. I mean, I guess there's recipes. I can't imagine writing a pressure cook recipe that has a range of time, though. I mean, it seems like that would be kind of setting people up for failure to me, but I don't know. Okay. All right, let's see. I need a butter sauce for Brussels sprouts, Angie says. Ooh, I've got one for you. Go on my website and do garlic Parmesan wings. If you like garlic and you like Parmesan and you like butter, that would make a great butter sauce. Garlic, I mean, it's so fantastic. You could increase the butter, decrease the Parmesan cheese so it's not as thick as it coats the wings, but that would be amazing. I mean, you could leave out the garlic too if you didn't want that, but oh my gosh, that would be amazing on Brussels sprouts. Crystal, I'm glad I was helpful. Yeah, John, that's a good point. John says, Missy, you can boil water on sear saute if you need to. It will take a little while. Yeah, I don't know if Missy has a Ninja Foodie. So that's why I didn't recommend that, because if she has the Ninja Foodie, she can definitely make spaghetti there very easily. And I have a recipe for that, but I don't know that she does. I think she's just saying she can't use the stove, so she wants to use the microwave. And technically you can. They even make containers for pasta, but I've just never done it because I've never been a microwaver. Never. I mean, I'll pop popcorn in it and I'll reheat some things in it and stuff, but I don't like the way it cooks. I don't like the way it heats. That's just personal. It's just my personal preference. Okay, Jen's got some cleaning tips here. Let's read those. A brush to clean straws works great to clean the crevices since it's bendable. As for the lid, I wash it in the sink by hand and let it air dry. That's the pressure lid, not the crisping lid. So if you have the two lid models, you can wash the pressure lid. The pressure lid can go in the dishwasher. There's nothing to it, but the crisping lid can't, obviously. And the one lid models, you can't take it off. So there you go. And it's also important, as we're talking about cleaning and things like that, is to take your seal out and clean that routinely. You don't have to do it every single time, but you do want to take it out and get it nice and clean. All right. So Kat, here we've got the split pea soup. Oh my goodness, Louise, this soup is so good. Buttered a piece of sourdough bread to sop it up. Y'all, if you haven't made this recipe, you need to. Yay. Awesome. I don't like split pea soup. I have never liked split pea soup. So for me to put out a recipe for split pea soup and like it, because I wouldn't put it out if I didn't like it, it's got to be good, right? So everybody that's made it has loved it. Hi, Ron. How are you? Cauliflower steaks. Roger's saying, I have a recipe for cauliflower steaks already. It's cauliflower Parmesan. And that's a low carb recipe too for the other person that was asking about keto stuff. I don't know what you're like, if you're asking how to cook them or what, but yeah, cauliflower steaks, they're awesome, right? And Ron made chicken nuggets. Awesome. Kat says, how in the world did the soup get thickened just by cooking it like that? I'm amazed. It's so good. Yes, it is. It's so good. It's so good. All right, let's see. Oh, good. Robin's saying all the recipe blasts on Facebook. Keep them coming. I love being reminded of the recipes I love and the ones I haven't used. Thank you so much, because I really have been sort of blasting them out. Just one a day goes to my salt and pepper page on Facebook, and then one a day goes to one of my groups. And one a day goes to another group, and they're all different. They're all different recipes. So like I'm putting out 3 to 4 recipes. They are not like new. Like some people might think, oh my gosh, she's been so busy, but no, they're recipes that have been on my website that I'm just like saying, okay, let's throw those back out. Let's see who might want to make them. Right. All right. So let's see. Lola. All right. Well, creosote was the wrong word for me to use because we're not burning stuff. I don't know. Like, I don't want to get too far into this, because if I say something wrong and I'm talking to all these people, I don't want to, but we're not really talking about creosote. What I meant was like just kind of burned particles of food. They're just going to come out. You're just going to get those out. There is some discoloration. There is some grease, but we're not cooking stuff that's creating the creosote that I'm thinking of, like on grills. Now, personally, I don't worry about that. I think there's so many other things that are going to kill me way before me cooking on a grill. So I'm not worried about it. But that's just me and, my nursing history and stuff like that. I do not have alarm bells that go off for everything that's toxic. I just think we've got to live it. And obviously there are some things that have been totally discontinued because they have been proven to be toxic, but so many things like aluminum foil and things like, aluminum foil and stuff, like I'm fine with it. I'll cook with it. I'll use it. I have no problems. I also have no problems if you don't, right? I have no problems if you don't want to use it. I'm always going to give a suggestion for not using it because we all have personal beliefs on that. But I don't want to get too far into the creosote because I'm not educated enough on it, honestly. Okay, let's keep going. Oh, 500 is the 8-quart. I don't have the 8-quart here, John. George. I don't have the 8-quart here, but I can't imagine why it's not working, honestly. Okay. Let's go through. Yeah, I need to teach Gus how to take over. Yeah, right. when I go off camera, it'd be so nice if he like jumped up in the seat and everything, smiled and yeah, that would be awesome. Okay, so Jen's got a good point for Missy. I've cooked pasta just by boiling water. So you could boil the water in the microwave and then soaking the pasta for 15 minutes or so. That works. That would work. Yes, absolutely. And probably a little bit easier in the microwave. But you also have to be very careful with the microwave and the way that it boils water. Because you don't want to be moving you've got to make sure you've got like a deep enough container to boil the water in so that when you're taking it out, you are able to transport it safely because scalding water gets on you and it's going to burn you. The other thing you want to do before you take boiling water out of a microwave is let it sit for a few minutes, because if you shake it up, sometimes it can really start a boil over effect and that can burn you as well. So just be careful. Okay, let's see. Kat says, I made the ribbon for lunch, Louise. I'm going to have to stop watching you. That ribbon's so good. Ribbon's my favorite. Hi, Zena. How are you? All right. We had so much fun on New Year's Eve. I was remembering when the cat jumped. Hilarious. My question, what is your cat's name? So I have 2 cats. We did have a good time on New Year's Eve. We had a really good time. Jeff and I have been talking about that. We're like, we got to do that every single year because it was more fun than anything I've ever done, like going out. Like it was so much fun. Anyway, so we have 2 cats. One is Boots, which is the black and white cat, and Lady May is my calico cat. All right. Okay. Crystal, Louise, as a person who is blind, what do you think would be the best way for me to make pancakes? Should I try to use a skillet or another method? Just curious. Gosh, Crystal, that is such a good question. Because, the skillet pancakes are going to be the best, but I don't think that it's going to be hard to time them correctly. Like because you're not going to see the bubbles, right? And that's when we kind of know to flip them. I'm thinking, I'm trying to think if you had a hot oven and if you were able to put the pancake, see if the pancake mix, this is the thing. Oh, I know what I would do. This is what I would do. I would heat a pan on the stove until you spritz in water and it like sizzles. You're going to hear it sizzling. Then I would put in your measured pancake batter for 1 pancake, which we would have to really get kind of specific about that. For 1 pancake, or however big your skillet is. You could do more as long as you do them, you're going to do them in so that they have room to spread. So hot pan, when the water sizzles, put your pancakes in, let them sit there for 30 seconds, and then throw them in the oven to bake from the top down. So there's ways to do it. So if you want to make pancakes, girl, we're going to make some pancakes, okay? Because I will get right in the kitchen and I will blindfold myself until I figure out how to make these pancakes with you. And then we'll get the timing straight and everything down because, pancakes. I'm a terrible pancake maker, honestly, but although my keto pancakes are pretty good or low carb. But I always have to discard like the first set. I just never get those right. I just think that's just part of doing business. It's just part of making pancakes. Okay. Okay. So Annie wants to know, how was the Chinese he brought me last Q&A? It was good. What was it? Oh, okay. It was good. I didn't post about it. I was supposed to post about it and I forgot. I can't even pronounce it, I'm sure. Mifun, something like that. MEIFUN. Anyway, it's sort of a curry mixed with a stir fry, right? It was good, but I'm not sure. I think it would be really good if they made it like I think maybe it should be made, which is hard for me to say. So I'm going to source it out somewhere else and see and compare it. Like I could not even tell if they used rice noodles or if they used angel hair. Like, and I think they're supposed to use rice noodles. So yeah, but it was good. It was tasty. I enjoyed it very much. Thank you for asking. Because I let people on Facebook, like, I want to order something different, something I don't usually get. And that was the one that really hit. I've also been, there were some other things that people had said, and I've been testing those out. So this is not Chinese, but bulgogi is one, and it fell a little flat based on what I had when I was in Maryland. That was so delicious. So my version fell a little flat. I'm going to have to beef that up a little bit. It needs some more flavor. I forgot to put garlic in it. That's probably the main problem. But, and then I made a really delicious stir fry. I don't know if I'm going to call it sesame beef. I don't know what I'm going to call it yet because it doesn't quite fit into any certain category that you would look up on Google, but I'm working on that. So again, yeah, I love Chinese food. I love Thai food. Oh my gosh. So good. So good. Okay. I'm going to keep going here. Okay. George is saying, didn't know you could pressure cook a cake. Do you have any recipes on your website? Yes, absolutely. I have 3 that I can think of. I have a red velvet cake, which is the one that I worked on forever, but you need a bundt pan for it. And you kind of need the certain size bundt pan, but they're not hard to find. I don't think you'll have trouble finding them either, George. And you are in Scotland, right? I think you'll be okay to find a bundt pan that's that size or a roundabouts. So that's a red velvet cake. That is delicious. I did it for Christmas, so it's got some Christmassy things on it, which looking back probably was a mistake because now it only gets surfaced once a year around Christmas, but it's delicious. So you could do any kind of icing you want on it. It'd be perfect. Mine has a peppermint one because again, Christmas. I have a pound cake on there that I haven't made in a long time, but when I did, it was very good, or it wouldn't be on my website. And then I have an apple cake, and that's delicious too. I also have a cake that is from a box mix that is a pistachio cake that I had to end up cutting out the center of. And so I call it the cascading candy cake. And I think I did that in the pressure cooker too. Because I was running into problems like so many people do where the outside was done. And if you pressure cook it too long, it gets rubbery on the outside and then still raw in the middle. But that cake worked because it has pudding in the mix and it is supposed to be kind of like just a denser cake. But when you want a nice fluffier cake, the foodie's probably not the way to go. Except for my red velvet cake, because that worked out really well. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to keep going here. Okay, so Lola B says, I did brownie and egg bite silicone once. It worked just fine. Yes, brownies in the egg bite would be fine. I thought about doing a recipe for that, but I just haven't. Hello, Brittany. How are you? Good to see you. All right, Sherry, brought my mother-in-law, one lid foodie, and myself, really interested in the online course for both of us. I did rice and it was crunchy. In the 2 lids, I make it perfect, thinking I need a course. Okay, so of course, the course will help, but I don't know that it's going to help with that issue. So I will help you with that issue. So Sherry, if you want to email me, Louise@thesaltedpepper.com, we can chat about rice because I've done rice in the 2 lid and the 1 lid, and I've done it different ways. And I think I know exactly what's going on. In the 2 lid model, there's going to be a little bit more steam that escapes. And so you're going to want to increase your water ratio just a little bit. Okay. So that rice, it's not a problem with timing so much. It's just that there's not enough water for the rice to absorb. So you just need to increase it just by a little bit. And I mean a smidge, like maybe 2 tablespoons, and you should be good. But we can chat about it if you want to email me, louise@thesaltedpepper.com. And then also, of course, sign up for the course because it'll help. I might even talk about that in the course. I don't know. I don't remember, but I might. Okay, Crystal says you could also try rice pudding. I pressure cook the rice, then hit saute while I add the eggs and cream and sweetener. Yeah, I have a rice pudding when I was being very creative, probably too creative. And I did a jasmine rice pudding. It is amazing, but it is time consuming to make, okay? Because you've got to brew the tea and blah, 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 blah. And I realize now that most people don't want to spend that time. They want things to be done quicker. That's why they've got the foodie. I get you. So I do need to put out just a regular old rice pudding recipe. Yeah, that would be good. That would be good. All right, let's see. Oh, I hope my stomach. Oh, great. So Lola, I keep making my own ghee too. Now I always have a jar of ghee. Yes. I thought it was so easy to make ghee that way. Like I loved doing it that way. Hey Gigi, good to see you. Wendy says about the pretzel rolls, pastrami was the first thing that came to mind. Yes, yes, definitely. Absolutely. Let's see. It's 8:12. Let me try to get down here. And hello, Beth. How are you? Everybody's giving Brittany some pregnancy advice. I love that. I can't because I've never experienced any issues because I don't have any babies. Oh, Gigi says I always use my grandma's recipe, but yours is better. I don't know what we're referring to, but thank you. I always use my mom's recipes or used to, and now I've kind of made my own changes to them, and I like mine better than hers. Okay, so Crystal says, so today I made homemade bread for the first time. It turned out wonderfully, by the way, but all I can think of was I can't wait to tell my friends. That's so awesome. Crystal, you are so inspiring to me because I know you don't feel good a lot of the time, and then you can't see, and you still try everything and want to learn, and you are an inspiration, my dear, and I love you to pieces. And I'm getting teared up because I just think you're so awesome. Okay. Dainty. If you like spicy mix and butter. Okay, that's for the cauliflower thing. I'll let you guys do that. Okay. Not a question, but a thanks. Link for the snow crab in the UK is phenomenal. Didn't know what to expect. Frog legs sold me. Didn't get crab, but the haddock and frog legs were huge and fresh. Oh, wonderful. I did do some searching, George, because I had people on my live and commenting on that recipe post on YouTube that they lived in the UK and they didn't even know if they could get them. So I did some research and tried to find the company that looked like, like they would be good quality and stuff. So I'm glad that was helpful. All right, let's see. I'm going to keep going. Okay, George, we're back to slow cook. It has the dial instead of the push buttons. Maybe that's why it won't go below 4 hours. Okay, it is a big deal to me. So tomorrow when I go to work, because I'm going down to Mississippi tomorrow, I have the 8-quart and the 6.5 quart, but I have the 6.5 quart doesn't have the dial. I have the 8 quart. I think there's a way to do it. So I will find out for you. Okay. And then I will let you know next time we chat, whether it's Tasty Tuesday, or you can drop me an email, louise@thesaltedpepper.com, and then I can respond. All right, Larry, what would I miss if I changed to the combi? Well, the thing is, why I don't know that I would change to the combi from the foodie, because you wouldn't be able to pressure cook anymore. And it's a totally different appliance, although it does a lot of the same things. Like it has some of the same functions, and it does a better job at certain things. The combi does better. It's going to do better with cakes. It's going to do better with breads. It's a different space, right? It's still small though. The overall square footage of the combi, I'm going to say it's less than the foodie, but it's different. Okay. It's rectangular. So you just have different options, but you can't pressure cook. And even though you can sear saute in the combi, trust me, it is not that easy. It's not. I don't like doing it. I know people are doing it. And if it's a quick little thing before I pour in water and I don't want to dirty another pan, I'm going to use it for sear saute. But it's not like the foodie where you dump things in, you saute, you dump things in, and then you go under whatever pressure and cook. It's just different. So I don't know that I would change to the combi. I might add the combi if you like what it does the best. So if you want to wait a little bit then see what I'm doing with the combi as I start to put out new recipes and videos for it, then, certainly do that. Because again, I don't think I would not trade the foodie for the combi personally. Okay. Now, if you don't make soups and you don't pressure cook ever, and, then the combi might be a better choice. So you can always email me and we can chat about that too, Larry. Okay. And I know you know my email address. All right. Let's see. I'm gonna go. Leanne, I truly need to learn how to make bread. Yes, you do. Make those pretzel rolls. They're easy peasy. Okay, so Debbie's got a pancake. What if you put the pancake mix in the egg bite molds and did them in the foodie? Yeah, that might work. They just wouldn't be pancakes for me. I mean, you know what I mean? Like pancakes are pancakes. They're round, right? So, I mean, I think that would work though. There's so many different ways. Oh, like a Dutch baby. Yes. Now those are good. That is another thing. I didn't think about that. So that is a Dutch baby. So instead of a traditional pancake, you could definitely make a Dutch baby by heating a pan. You don't have those timing issues like you do, and you could do them in the oven, but you preheat the pan in the oven even. So like cast iron works really well. So that's really awesome. Wendy, when I had Chinese food, yes, I got some egg rolls and we did reheat it in the, I didn't reheat the noodle dish in the foodie or the air fryer, but I did do the egg rolls and they were delicious. Okay, John says, Crystal, there is a YouTube video produced by North Dakota School for the Blind. The audio would explain it. Oh, interesting. I'll have to look that up. All right, let's see. Have you ever made Gordon Ramsay sticky toffee pudding? I have not, but I've never even had sticky toffee pudding, but I've had a lot of people ask me about sticky toffee pudding or sticky pudding or things like that. So I really need to figure out how to do it. Right. I don't even know what it would taste like. I just don't even know, but I'll have to look up now that I know. I didn't know Gordon Ramsay did one. So now that I know that Gordon Ramsay did one, I can look and see and all that kind of stuff. All right, let's see. Kat says, I make my own lard and tallow. Wondering how it would turn out in the foodie if I sear saute until it's rendered. I've made tallow and it works fine on sear saute. It works great. I've done it several times. I haven't done my own lard though, so I want to have to do that. But I never cooked with lard until I started making tamales. I'm testing a recipe for tamales, and I want to use lard in there. And I've just never used it, right? It's just not something that I grew up with or anything. I mean, like we've used Crisco, but never lard. So, oh, and also lard goes into my pasty pastry crust. So I am working with it more. I really like it too, by the way, in savory things. But tallow, if tallow works, then you're going to be able to make lard too. I did try to slow cook. I will tell you, Kat, that takes forever and it just does not work. I posted about that making tallow somewhere. I'll have to try to see if I can dig it up because I can tell you that I'm pretty sure I set it on a lower sear saute and covered it up and let it go, let it just do its thing. But yeah, amazing stuff. I still have some, it lasts a long time. I don't use it that often. So, okay. So I don't know, Harry Sumter, okay. Delia Smith's recipe is way superior. Are we talking about the sticky toffee pudding? Anyway. All right, let's see. What is the name of the pound cake recipe? Lord, I hope I named it pound cake. Let's see. Homemade pound cake in the Ninja Foodie is what it is. So I was going to say, I hope I didn't go off the rails and name it something crazy. Pound cake, right? Okay. All right. And Leanne's saying, I'm sorry, I jumped ahead. Cakes are wonderful in the combi. I bet they are. I haven't done that yet. I don't remember. I don't think so. I've done brownies in there. Gosh, they were so good. Okay. Hi, Louise. Used one of your recipes for all 3 meals plus dessert yesterday. Yay! That's awesome. That is so awesome. Wendy, you don't need a separate rice cooker, but it is what it is if you want to use it. Whatever works for you. All right. Good night, Annie. I'm going to be going here too. George, you're not keeping me up all night like you did on New Year's Eve. I'm telling you that. Okay. Last question. I promise. Maybe laugh out loud. I just got the 5-knife ninja set. Always been a Sabater fan, but now 30 years old. I love the balance, but not that sharp. Is that normal? Thoughts on the sharpener? Okay. They should be sharp. If they're not sharp, send them back. I don't know if the quality you're getting is not the same as what I have. They are sharp. They work very well. The balance is nice. Are they the best knives in the world? No, probably not. In fact, I'm sure they're not at the price point that they are, but they are decent. And I do like the feel of them and the balance. I mean, that's the main thing. So now you can keep them and sharpen them. Thoughts on the Ninja sharpener is it's good for a quick sharpen. Okay. So that's what I'll do before I do a video with slicing beef and things like that. I mean, I can tell when my knife is dull because it doesn't cut. So it's really good for a fast, just, sharpening. So did yours not come if yours has didn't yours come with it? The knife set should have come with it. I thought if it's this 5-knife set, I didn't come with the block anyway. But you could use any sharpener. So you don't have to buy the Ninja sharpener. If you have got a knife sharpener, electric or whatever kind, you can use that. Now, I've been looking into whetstones, but I don't know anything about them. And they are like a once a year knife sharpening thing. I've tried to use those rods. I can't. I just see myself like doing something crazy. I just can't get the hang of it. And you see people, they do it so fast. And I've had people try to teach me. I just don't have that dexterity, I guess. I cannot do it. So I shouldn't say I cannot do it. I can do it if I practice and I did it longer, but it's very weird motion for me. And I think you guys know what I mean. They're those ones they do quickly right before they cook. The chefs use them all the time. Okay, let's see. I'm going to keep going because I'm going to get off here just a minute. But I want to get to the end. Okay. I just want to thank you for the quick and easy pot roast recipe. It was the best roast I've ever made. So tender. Everybody loved it. Made the rest in a pot roast sandwiches. Oh, good. Always had to throw away leftover in the past, which I hated. I do have a question. I have a butcher box chuck roast that is only 2 pounds. Would I cut down the time or just leave it whole? Um, I chunk that pot roast, so I would just do the same thing. So if it's 2 pounds, it depends on the shape of it, but probably cutting it in half, I'm thinking, is going to be good. Cut it in half. That's what I'm thinking. But it depends on the shape of it. But just make it into the same size that you did with the pot roast before. But I am just so thrilled that you enjoyed it. I'm thrilled that you used the leftovers. I mean, that is so awesome. I always turn my pot roast into either a sandwich or into beef stew, okay? Because it's super easy to turn that into beef stew. You just add some chicken broth and cut up your vegetables, and I'm not chicken broth, beef broth, beef stock. And oh my gosh, you can make the best beef stew and fast. All right. Let's see. I'm going to go past here. Okay, Michelle, any new soup recipes on the horizon? Well, I just put out dill pickle, and yes, there's another one. It's the coconut chicken soup, tom kha gai, and it's got a few little twists, and I go through a ton of different ways to make it. Like this video, I don't even know how it's going to be received. It may not be received very well. And the reason being is that the first 15 minutes of it is me adding the ingredients to the pot. I kid you not. And that is because I wanted to go through each ingredient because they sound like things that are like you're never going to find them. So I know that shuts people down from making it right away. Like I don't know where to get galangal. I don't even know if I pronounced it correctly, but I don't know where to get that. So forget it. That recipe's not for me. You don't have to put it in there. It is signature in tom kha gai. It is the kai, I believe, in the tom kha gai. So there's no real substitution, but you can omit it in your coconut chicken soup, right? So I go through this step by step. Different options for lemongrass, different options for this, different options. So it's a different kind of video. But the soup is so delicious. So that's the new one coming. And I think it's coming out Sunday. I didn't mean to. I really wanted to put out something more exciting. I mean, I love this soup, so it's very exciting to me. I don't think it's going to be a hit with most people. I just don't. And it was supposed to go out just a random midweek just for me to get the recipe out. However, our snowstorm messed up my shooting schedule so much that I'm just trying to catch up. So I have to use the videos that are tested fully. Like I never had a chance to test. I wanted to do air fryer beef Wellington because it was coming up Valentine's Day, and I thought this will be perfect and it's easy. And I had the hardest time trying to find filet. So I never could test the recipe, so I never could get it out. I was going to do a different version of sous vide sirloin filet. A sous vide sirloin for the beef Wellington, and I thought a lot of people don't sous vide, so I didn't want to just do that. So anyway, so I didn't get it out. So I've got a kind of a strange recipe coming out, which is really good though if you like Thai food. Okay. Okay. Oh, Larry, I'm sorry. I mean, rather than the speedy. Gosh. Well, I'm going to say the same things apply to the speedy and the combi as do to the foodie and the combi, with the exception that the speedy doesn't pressure cook, so you're not giving that up. But the speedy loads from the top, right? It's a top loading appliance, so it's easier to saute in. It's easier to dump ingredients in. But I think the combi is going to win over a little bit in space. I think there's a little bit more space in the combi than the speedy because the speedy is only 6 quarts. It's smaller than the Ninja Foodie. And I think overall, because of the design of the combi, it does a better job on almost everything than the speedy does, but it's different. So if you are I want to throw it in and steam it or saute it or whatever, and you like that pot cooking, then you're probably going to prefer the speedy. So it really depends. But as far as functions go, I don't think you give up really anything. They're pretty similar functions. And most recipes can be made in both. Okay. So the functions are the same. It's just a different layout. And I think I personally like the combi better than the speedy. I could never quite get into the speedy, and I wanted to love it. But I just said, well, I'm going to use my foodie. Why would I use the speedy? I'm going to use the foodie. And I think the foodie is better than the speedy, personally, my opinion again. Okay. But the combi see, I think the speedy and the foodie are so similar that I wouldn't have both in my kitchen unless I did this for a living, which I do. So I do have both, but the combi and the foodie, they complement each other to me. Okay. I like both of them, and I like them both for different reasons, and I cook different things in each one. So there you go. All right. Whitney has a question. Any full course meals with desserts? Oh my gosh. I don't think I've ever done a full course meal with a dessert in one appliance before. So that's something. But you know what? If it was only for 2 people, I might be able to pull that off. Honestly, that is a challenge, Whitney. Full course meal. So I'm going to say with the full course meal, we're going to just call it a 360 meal. So you're going to have a starch, a protein, and a vegetable, and you want a dessert at the end. I'm on that. I'm going to really think about that. I think that would be a great debut for a good show what the combi can do. I think that's awesome. Okay, so Barb is pointing out something. I can use the combi and the foodie at the same time in my kitchen, but I could not use the foodie and the grill at the same time. That's interesting. Okay. I don't know, Gigi, which rolls did you say? Oh, pretzel buns? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Oh, Wendy says pretzel, so maybe it's pretzel. Okay. All right. Let's see. Dainty, what would be some of the things you love the most with the 1 lid version versus the 2 lid model? Are there more functions on the 1 lid? There are more functions on the 1 lid. Steam crisp, steam bake, proof are 3 that come to mind. The UK model or the European models, because they're more than just in the UK, have even more of those combination functions. What would be some of the things you love the most with the 1 lid version versus the 2 lid model? Did you hear my dog snoring back there? That's so funny. Gosh, probably the ability to steam crisp. Like I like that for vegetables. So that's probably one of the things that sets it apart. Of course, I love just having 1 lid. It just makes things so easy, but you give up space. So some of my 360 meals that are pressure cooked in the 2 lid don't work in the 1 lid because the heating coil is in the lid itself. And so you don't have enough clearance. So you got to get creative and do either a lower profile pan or maybe put whatever's on the top in tin foil if that's something that it will work with, that way. So there's some limitations. I would say the other thing that one day, well, now I don't even know if I'll keep trying, but I should for you guys. One day I knew I was going to love the bread that came out of the foodie, the 1 lid foodie using steam and crisp. I knew one day I was going to love it because it's a great combination cooking function wise. However, I always seem to make too much dough at once. And I just have not figured out a way to be able to get the loaf of bread, even if I use 2.5 cups of flour, so it's smaller. I have not figured out how to get it to go in easily to the foodie. It's cumbersome because I put it in my basket with parchment. I've tried a pizza rack. I've tried a lot of different things, guys. Okay. So when I say I'm struggling, I'm really struggling. It never browns evenly enough for me. Okay. I see beautiful pictures of bread that people have done. I've even one time way back, made a beautiful loaf of bread in there. I cannot duplicate it. I don't know why. I don't know why. So then I started using the combi and I'm like, whoops, sold. It works so beautifully. And it browns the bottom, it browns the top. It's all even. It's perfect. It's crunchy and crispy. So yeah. So, but the one lid, so that would be one that I'm struggling with. But I think if I got it right, I would love it. And I see beautiful pictures of bread. So that's about, I mean, I don't, there's not that many differences. So like I'll take one of my recipes if I'm going to make it again, just for Jeff and I to have, and I'll just use the one lid if that's what's handy, or I'll use the two lid if that's what's handy. It doesn't matter to me. Like I'll use either one. I use the one lid on camera more, but I'm thinking about switching back to the two lid for a little bit. Just to kind of show people that it doesn't matter. I mean, cook with what you want. I had a comment that I was a little bit like concerned about. Somebody asked, or they like, I guess they made an assumption and kind of was saying, is this true? Like, is it true that I can't follow your recipes anymore because I have the two lid and you have the one lid? No, that's not true at all. I mean, there's certain ones that I'm going to make with the one lid that have a function that you don't have, but that's the same case with the two lid. They all don't have the same function. So sometimes you may not be able to make the recipe the same way as I made it, but you can always make the recipe because the appliance is not dependent on the recipe. So the recipe is your, how do I put this? Your recipe is your guidelines there, right? The recipe is the flavor. The recipe is how to put it together. The cooking technique, the directions are different based on how you're going to cook it. But there's two things that cook food. Three, if you think about acids and not sous vide, ceviche and things like that. But it's basically heat and time. Okay. So even if you don't have the same function, balloons, even if you don't have the same function, you can still make any recipe. You just have to adapt it to the appliance that you have or the function that you want to use. I go over that so much in my course because I feel like I want people to, no matter what they have, I don't want them to run out and buy something new that they don't need because they feel like they need it to make a recipe. You do not. You do not. You can pretty much give me any recipe and any appliance and say, I want to make this in this. And I could tell you how to do it, right? I want you to learn how to do that too, so that you just get, you can do whatever you want in the kitchen and have so much confidence and have fun cooking, because cooking is fun, right? It should be fun. It's not a chore. And it's not a chore when your outcomes are consistently good and you have pride in it, right? So I think a lot of times it's such a chore because you don't feel confident or you don't know if it's going to work out, or sometimes it doesn't work out. Sometimes it doesn't work out for me either, but we just laugh and move on, right? But anyway, okay, I'm on a rant. Sorry. Hey, Bonnie, I'm about to head out, but I don't know what time you came on. 8:20. Oh, you commented about 18 minutes ago, so you've been watching for a little bit. All right. Okay. D's like, forget Gordon Ramsay for the most loved UK pudding. Let me see if I can. I can't copy that, D. I'm gonna forget. John, can you write that down for me if you're still in the chat? Because Delia Smith. I'm gonna forget, but I'm gonna look her up. Okay. All right. Okay, let's see. Yeah. Kat says maybe you're probably getting hungry. I am. My stomach's growling, and I do need to go, but I'm just trying to get to the end here. And let's see. And I love the questions. I love the questions. Okay, so George, yes, I ran out of characters to add the message. Yes, okay. I meant the sharpener as part of the set. The knives are sharp, but not kitchen sharp, which surprised me. That surprises me too. Mine came super sharp. I actually love them, and I gave them to my mom years ago. She said they're the best knives she's ever had, and they are super sharp, super sharp. So if they're not, I'm surprised. So I would sharpen them and then see how they go, how it works. But if they're not sharpened, they're not working for you, you send them back and get something that does, right? But again, the sharpener is for quick sharpening. They will eventually dull to the point where that doesn't do the trick, but it takes a while and then you can use a different type of method. Like I understand this whetstone stuff is great, but I don't know anything about it yet. I'm going to learn. Um, all right, let's see. Okay, Sharon says, speaking of broth, I make chicken broth using 2 chicken thighs. Then I use the broth to make the rice, then use the thighs for stir fry on top of the rice. Thank you for the wonderful idea. I mean, guys, this is unbelievable. Like people, I'm sorry, my stomach's growling. People that have been following me for a long time and seeing the evolution and what they're doing in the kitchen now and just little things, little tidbits that they'll take from a recipe of mine or something that I show on video. And then they turn it around to create their own set of meals. This is why I do everything that I do. Everything, everything. This is everything to me. That comment is everything to me. I'm just so happy to hear that. Thank you. And again, I'm also kind of sappy, so I get a little teary-eyed. Okay. Like I cry at the Folgers commercial that used to be on. I don't see it anymore because I don't have cable. But like when they're making coffee and like I think the son comes down with the mom or whatever and they're having coffee, all boohoo crying, full on crying. I've seen the commercial 100 times and I still cry every single time. So that's just a little insight into who I am. So when I get a little teared up and everything, don't worry, it's normal. It's so normal. All right, George, it's delicious. I made it in the air fryer, beef Wellington, super easy. I've got great tricks for getting it done correctly in an easy fashion, but I just didn't get it out in time. So I put it on for next year, George. Should I not? Is beef Wellington something that people make other than the holidays? Because I put it to come out like in November, I think, for Christmas time. Okay. Hi, EG. Hi, Louise. Big thank you for all your work recipes. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Okay, I just look up. Just put it in a pan with sides to catch any blood. What are we talking about, friends? What are we talking about, friends? Okay, Wendy's got a question. I was like, what are we talking about? What are we talking about? Okay, I have a prime rib in the freezer from the butcher's. Any suggestions? Thawing and such. We're gonna smoke it. I thaw it in the refrigerator, and season it and let it sit in the refrigerator seasoned for 2 days. Okay, it's gonna dry out, and that's what you want. And you're gonna smoke the most amazing prime rib. So yeah, and I saw later on you're gonna email me. Perfectly fine. Send me an email. We can chat about it. That sounds amazing. I need to make another prime rib. I love them. They're one of my favorite things. Okay, let's see. If it's George that's snoring, be assured it's not me. No, it's my girl Callie. She's sitting here just snoring up a storm. She is hysterical. Um, oh my God, Kat, this is gonna be funny. I just put out the inner pot so I could put the soup away, and the foodie reminded me that the pot was hot. Laugh out loud. I love it. Nope, it didn't say hot. It said pot. It told you, bring back my pot. I want my pot. I don't work without my pot. That also means that you didn't turn the foodie off. So go turn your foodie off. It's not going to work without the pot, but it is still on. So when you put your pot back in, like if you go and clean it or whatever and put it back in, it's still going to be on like keep warm or something. So go turn the foodie off. So it didn't say hot. It said pot, but I wish it did say hot. That'd be funny. Okay, let's see. Okay, so I'm going to answer this question, Jolene. Wendy was not. It was Wendy was not the person live. It was my friend Amber was live on New Year's Eve. And she's crazy. She's a little crazy. I love her though. Okay, John, are you still there? This has been doing in my head for ages. Is there a difference between UK and US teaspoons, tablespoons, cups, etc. measurements? Some sites in the UK say there is, and others say they're the same. Okay. My understanding, now John lives in Australia, so it's a little bit different, but my understanding is they are the same, or they are so closely the same that it's never going to make a difference in your recipe. That is my understanding. Um, and based on the amount of recipes that I have that have conversions for UK, but keep teaspoons and tablespoons the same, I don't keep cups the same. Okay. I do turn those into grams when it's a dry measure, or milliliters if it's a liquid measure. But for teaspoons and tablespoons, spices and things like that, they're the same. And nobody's ever said they had a fail. Nobody, even with baking. So I think it's so minute. I might not be saying that right. Anyway, it doesn't matter. People can make fun of me. I don't, it's okay. But I think it's just such a small difference that it's not going to matter. Okay, George, you're out of questions. You're done. No more. Wait till next time. Wait till next Tuesday. No, I'm joking. Not really though. I'm not really joking. Stop the questions, George. All right, let's see. Okay, George is saying beef Wellington recipe next week works for me to hell with waiting 9 months. Yeah, okay, all right. So I'll start working on the beef Wellington. I mean, who doesn't love it? I love it. So I'll start working on that and see if I can get it out sooner. I do have, for those of you that are in the UK specifically, don't know if it's the same other places, but I understand that you can't get corned beef. You can get brisket, but you cannot get corned beef. So last year, I figured out how to corn my own beef, and it was something, man. It was a challenge. Okay, I didn't get it right the first couple times. It was disgusting. So there is, you don't make any adjustments to this recipe. You follow what I'm doing exactly, or you're going to end up with crap piece of meat and a waste of time. Because I've already done it. Okay. So I have that coming out for you guys though. And that's going to come out probably next week. It's not going to drop on a Sunday. It's going to come out midweek because I don't think very many people in the US are going to really want to corn their own beef, because you can easily get it at the grocery store for St. Patrick's Day and anytime really. So stay tuned for that. So you're going to, want to get a brisket, and it takes, I think, 2 weeks. So that's why I want to put it out pretty soon. So, and you need certain curing salt and stuff. Okay. All right. Oops. No, George. No more airtime. Okay. Let's see. Okay. So John says the only difference is in volume measurements. They are larger in the imperial system. But if the volume is being measured, like if I convert it to milliliters, you're good to go. Okay. You're good to go because I've done the conversion for you. And so, yeah, but okay, good. Okay. So George, the cup size appears to have quite a big difference when converted to milliliters. You don't convert cups to milliliters. You convert ounces to milliliters. Cup is for dry measure. Now in the US, we use cup interchangeably, but technically fluid ounces are ounces and dry measure is a cup. They're different measuring things in the US too. Hey, George, you've got my course. I have a whole video on that in the skills library in the kitchen. What is it called? Kitchen skills or something? I don't know if I know you've got the course, don't you? Anyway, I've got a whole video on measurements because they are confusing for everybody. Okay. They are confusing for everybody. My only advantage that I have, in my opinion, is being a nurse. So we use kilograms. We use milliliters. We use that stuff. So I had 30 years of doing conversions of that. I'm getting better with temperature conversions too, where I can kind of think of them off the top of my head. But that was a long process. That's taken me 4 years because I've never used Celsius. There are people in the US that use Celsius, but I have never done it. But as far as measurements go, I'm pretty well versed in how to do that. So you don't convert cups to milliliters. You convert ounces to milliliters. Okay. Maybe that'll help with things. Wendy says, don't make us do conversions. Okay. Okay. George is back in his bag. George, you crack me up. I'll shut up now. Back in my basket. You crack me up. All right. Let's see. And then John also points out that the UK is different from the Australian metric system. Well, I mean, wouldn't metric be metric though, John? But anyway, there are small differences in Australia, from what I understand from John, because I don't live there. All right. Okay. Kitchen skills. Yeah, it's called the kitchen cabinet, isn't it? I don't know what it's called. I don't remember. Okay. Okay, yes, but a cup of water in the US is different to a cup of water in the UK when converted to milliliters. We're going to have to talk about this, George. So, George, you're going to have to get internet where you can come on live. That's all there is to it. You're going to have to get a phone that connects to the internet and get online, because I mean, obviously you connect to the internet, but remember we did have that issue. Okay. A cup of water in the US is different to a cup of water. So a cup of water, I think technically it's 237 mLs, but we round that up to 240 mLs. So a cup or 8 ounces of water in the US is 240 mLs. So how is that different in the UK? Because I don't see how it could be. So let me know, because I am honestly not sure how it, because I've never even been to the UK. I'm going to have to go. Well, Scotland anyway. All right. We're going to move on, but I'm interested. I mean, this is a very interesting, conversation about measurements, because it matters, right? It matters in cooking. All right. CR wants to know, do I have any good bread recipes for somebody that's diabetic? Yes, I've got some low carb breadsticks that are amazing. I have not ever found a low carb full on bread that I liked. Okay. And because part of diabetes, the carbs turn into sugars with bread, you want to be able to use like the alternative almond flours and things with more protein. Okay. So that's why I'm going to steer you towards the low carb bread recipes that I have. And I think I have 2, but I don't remember. I know I do call, oh, you know what? I call my breadsticks keto breadsticks. In fact, I call quite a few recipes keto, and they're technically not keto. My cream chip beef might be keto because that's got high fat in it, but technically these probably don't even meet the keto requirements, but they're low carb anyway. And there's also a crispy keto pizza crust on my website. So like if you wanted to make pizza, but as far as a slicing bread, I have never gotten that to work out well. So I don't have any, sorry. I do have a no yeast, but that still uses too much flour and potatoes, so it'd still be too starchy. Okay, so John is saying the only difference here in Australia is a tablespoon is equivalent to 20 mLs, whereas in the US it's 15 mLs. And that would be if you're measuring liquid. So, it was so hard. So when you're measuring dry ingredients with tablespoons and you're going to convert it, you would have to convert it to grams technically. Okay. But this is where so many people in the UK, Australia, and everywhere else will just get tablespoon, teaspoon stuff because it's just so much easier. Like literally, who's going to weigh out all of their spices to put into a dish? You're not. And is it going to matter if it's a little off? It's not. So we don't worry about it. Thank you, Crystal. I'm not gonna read that out loud because I'm gonna cry again. But thank you, thank you. I got my dog because he's like, Mom, 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 Mom. You've been talking too much. You need to stop. You need to stop talking. Okay. Yes, Wendy, or CCs, and we're not even going to go down there, but CCs are equivalent to milliliters. Okay. Jolene, isn't 8 ounces anywhere? No, because metrics doesn't use ounces; it uses milliliters. So yeah, it gets very complicated. Let me just tell you, it can get very complicated. And then of course, are we talking about 8 ounces weight, or are we talking 8 ounces volume? So we do things differently in the US, which when we grow up in the US and we're used to it, we understand like 8 ounces fluid volume is different than 8 ounces weight, right? It's different. We weigh our meat in we might say 8 ounces of meat. It's weighed, which is half of a pound. So we would go like 8 ounces of meat, half a pound of meat, and I would do better if I was at a pound. But anyway, let me think what 8 ounces would be. It would be like 0.25 kilograms in the UK because they do kilograms for weight. So it is complicated. It's a process. And it's something that I think about when I'm doing all my recipes of how this is, how this is going to work. Okay, John, another good tip. 1 cup in the UK is 250 mLs, just as in Australia. And in the US, it's 240 mLs. I did not know that. I did not know that. So 8 ounces of fluid. Let's say water. I'm getting in my nursing cap, so I'm saying fluid. Let's just keep it cooking. Won't say water. 250 mLs of water is a cup. Well, 10 mLs is a very small amount. It's not going to make a difference. I can't even imagine it making a difference in anything, honestly, even baking. I think it's going to be fine. Okay. So, George, the final answer is don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's not enough. Hey, excuse me. We're not roughhousing today. Oh, my goodness gracious. Barbara, no. England cup is 10 fluid ounces. So, but that's probably not in cooking. That's probably in serving. So if you get a cup of soup, it would be 10 fluid ounces. Is that right? Am I right on that one? So it's cup in that way, in that term, in that usage is not a measurement. It's a serving size. Am I right? Am I right? Let's find out. Hopefully you're still here. Wendy says, so I need new measuring spoons. No, you don't. We're good. We're all good. Okay. So 8 ounces of weight is 250 grams, but 8 ounces in volume would not necessarily be 250 grams. So weight to weight is what's important when you're doing these measurements, because like you could have volume, like let's say I have 2 glasses and each glass is 8 ounces. And in one glass, I put feathers and I fill it up to the brim. So we've got volume of 8 ounces of feathers, but the weight is not going to be anywhere near 8 ounces compared to if I fill 8 ounces of fluid, water. The weight is going to be different, but we're going to have the volume is going to be 1 cup. So grams, that's when it can get really crazy. We should probably stop right now. We should probably stop. People are like, what? I'm never going to cook again. Anyway, yeah, and that's the thing. Like we all know what we know, and we don't know what we don't know. And I think sharing these things is so interesting to me. Um, and John, US uses imperial, don't we? Now I'm gonna sound like a dummy. I thought imperial and US are the same. I mean, we don't have our own special measurements, right? Not that I know of anyway. All right, anyway, look away now. That's a good ending. We're not gonna go down that. Okay. So you're gonna be fine. Um, volume versus mass. We're gonna keep going, Wendy. Wendy's a nurse too. So yeah, we can keep talking and talking and talking and talking. 8-ounce volume is 226 grams, but John, it is not, because an 8-ounce volume of feathers is not going to be the same grams as water. So it gets tricky there too. Okay, Kat says, my daughter's a nurse. She said that nursing school was the hardest thing she's ever done. She said that getting her bachelor's and then master's was way easier. She's now a nursing professor. It was hard. It was hard, but like I kind of just, it was natural to me. It just came natural to me. Like yeah, I have to say, it just came to me. It just was it was what I was meant to do for 28 years. Maybe even 29, I can't remember. But yeah, it was excuse me. I'm talking. This girl. I'm talking. Okay. So, okay. George, I got it. We got to end on this one. So the US does have its own imperial scale. That's why your gallons are not the same as our gallons. I didn't even know you use gallons. I thought you used liters. Why are you confusing me, George? FYI, a Scottish mile is not the same as an English mile. The world is a mess. We're all just confused. We're dazed and confused trying to get along and cook some food, right? Oh my gosh. Yeah, I've been a caregiver since I was two. I was two. Um, I used to force my sister to go with me, but I would go to the nursing home when I was 10 and put on tap dancing and singing lessons. Not lessons. I don't even sing, but I thought I could then, and dance and do all kinds of stuff. So I've always been a caregiver, always, my entire life. And I loved it until I didn't, until I was totally burned out and had to get out of it. And plus, the healthcare system's a complete disaster. So it was just getting harder and harder to take care of my people. And if I can't take care of my people, I don't want any part of it. Same thing here. Like if I can't take care of my people, giving them the recipes that they want that are really good, that they're going to be successful and happy with and feed their families, then I'm getting out. I'm out. I'm done. Right? I'm not going to do it. So I'm just really glad. Well, Kat, I didn't even see this question, but I just told you I was done. Um, when you have to fight with a pharmacist because your patient is a diabetic and they're in their gap for their insurance, for their prescription insurance, and they're in their gap, and that buying insulin over the counter, like with a prescription, but like without insurance, is 10 times, not 10 times, 4 times, 5 times cheaper than going through insurance. This is the thing that they don't want to tell you all the time. Your copay isn't, but when you're in that gap, you have to pay a lot of money. So I had to fight with the pharmacist to say, I don't run this through her insurance. And it just it was a battle. I battled every day. And then they started really cutting down on narcotics and things. And I did a lot of hospice. Okay. So even though I was at the end geriatric nurse, I was the place that they came right at the end. Right. I mean, we had turnover more than a lot of places, but that's because of the people that I chose to take care of. Right. Because that was my wheelhouse. That was what I was really good at. Although I was really a good nurse too, because I think some people stayed alive way, 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 way longer than their families thought. So I don't know why that came up. Anyway, so I was just done fighting. I was done fighting, and I figured that I had made enough of an impact. I had helped enough people, but it's on a small scale, right? So I had no intention of doing this. This was not, I mean, I had a website and everything since 2015, but basically I was just throwing up recipes. I had no idea what I was doing. They were terribly written and I still need to go back and fix those. But when I moved to Tennessee, I was supposed to be retired. And I wanted to garden and chicken and fix stuff around the house and make good dinners for my husband. And that was it. Right. But then I started like fooling around with the Ninja Foodie and seeing what it was doing. There was somebody that I had joined a group. I'm not going to get too much into detail, but I had joined a group and I did not like the way that group was run at all. And I complained about it all the time. I didn't like the treatment of people in the group. I just hated everything about it. But I was trying to learn this appliance myself, even though I'm a very good cook, I still wanted to learn it. Right. So getting tips from people is helpful. And Jeff says, well, stop complaining about it. Just start your own group. So I did. So I started my own Facebook group. And then he says, we'll do some videos with it. And we'll do some recipes with it. I'm like, what? Now I'm working? Like, I'm not supposed to be working. But anyway, once I met the Ninja Foodie community, got to know people, it was life changing for me. It was like being able to give in a different way. But it was so much like nursing, right? It was because I'm trying to help people put food on their tables. And I was trying to make people, their families be okay with their death and the dying person be comfortable as they're dying and have the best quality of life. So anyway, there's a lot of similarities and I just got to know you guys and I fell in love and I said, this is for me. So that's how I got out of nursing. That's how I got into this. That is why I'm passionate about it. And I love every minute of what I do, even though can't get to everything I want to get to. I absolutely love it. Kat says, yeah, that's what I want to do. Gardening, chickens. Now I just need a husband. I don't know. I know. I love mine. He's wonderful. My husband is wonderful. All right, guys. I don't know if this is not meant for me. I'm sure, but Jolie's saying retired at 35, doing great. Yeah, anybody that's retired at 35 is doing great. I'm not 35, but I did retire young. I mean, I did retire young, but that was just because I had to because I was gonna go berserk. I had to get out of healthcare. I just had to. I had hit that wall and I had to get out. So my husband worked overtime. I mean, because when I first started doing this, like we didn't earn any income from me. I didn't earn any income whatsoever for probably a year and a half. And that's how it is. That's how it works, and I knew that, but I wasn't in it for the money. I'm still not in it for the money because Lord knows I'm probably making less than minimum wage if I went through all the work that I do. And then what the income is, I'm not making like, I mean, I make decent money. Don't get me wrong. It is definitely good money, but it is compared to the hours, it's probably like less than minimum wage. So anyway, I think I was on a different train of thought, but I totally forgot. But anyway, that's my story. And no regrets whatsoever. No regrets. I just love what I do. And I love you guys so much. And now it's time to hang up the phone. So I can go eat. It's 9:00 here. This was a long one. Oh, George, you're so funny. I'm going to be 54 in June. Okay, just so everybody knows my age. I don't hide it, and it doesn't matter. I'm not as young as people think I am, which I think is just wonderful. It's the baby, it's the fat on the face. But yeah, so I'm going to be 54, and I'm born in 70, so this should be really easy math. I can convert kilograms to pounds, but what? Anyway, I can't tell my age. Yeah, 54 is what I'm going to be. And Jeff is 5 years older than me, so he's going to be 59. And I keep wanting him to retire because we don't need his income anymore. He supported me while I built this. Now he doesn't need to work, but he loves it. He loves it so much. I just don't know. I think we're going to have a 4-year plan for him to retire. I told him, I said, we could do twice as much if you weren't working. We could do twice as much here with the salted pepper. But his first love is flying, and I respect that. So we'll let him. I'll let him age out of that. And then, hopefully I'm still relevant in 4 years. Hopefully I still have people that are interested in my recipes in 4 years. We never know, right? This could I don't think it's going to happen tomorrow or even in a year, but I mean, we never know. So I'm going to make as much of an impact as I can while I'm still able to, period. All right, George is 16, but he's really 60 in 2 weeks. I got your number. All right, guys. I love you all so much, and I'm going to say goodnight. We're going to hang up the phone, and I'm making sure that everybody has asked their questions. And now let's get a few good nights. Okay. Good night. Good night. I will see you next week for Tasty Tuesday. And I think that's it, right? Bye. Love you guys so much. I'm hanging up.